Okay. All right, can you hear me in Osceola? Or did I just hung up on?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I don't have video. Let's turn on video, turn off video. All right, do we have a problem with the video feed, or is that operator error on my part? Well, that's...
Yeah, we can see the jail, I can say.
Okay.
We can't see you.
Is the monitor on?
It's on.
Okay. That's what the green light means, I guess, right? Just checking.
Cameras on our side, we'll have a green light on.
Well, shall we proceed without video? I'm all right with that.
Quite okay with that, Your Honor.
All right.
Your Honor, if I may ask, for the purposes of ordering on the law, we have Terry Harris first.
Terry Harris first. All right. Before we go any further, can I have appearances for the record, beginning with the states?
Stephen Miller for the state.
Devin Nixon for Public Defender's Office.
Did you forget where you're from, Ms. Nixon?
I did for a second, yeah.
It's early. All right, and then down in Osceola County?
Abbotsford Public Defender's Office, Your Honor.
All right. All right, and so you wanted to take up, Mr. Scholl, you wanted to take up...
Last name Harris, Your Honor. First name Harris.
I'll find it eventually. Murphy, no, Napolitano. Jackson, pause. Got it. Okay. All right, so Mr. Harris.
Your Honor, I do have a problem with
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you.
I have a C chart, probable cause challenge for this.
Okay.
case.
All right. You may proceed.
Your Honor, this case is in regards to my client, big client, is a legendary violent he actions in the gas station, lying to the business, nothing concerning. Reading through it, the only area that I see argument states that the head captures the alleged victim, okay, is following him around, total charge, look at the facts of it was more appropriate now to find her. The employees at the gas station said it's their money, nothing occurred. So at this point in time, we need to have a possible contact. He asked me to read the facts of it, trying to alleviate, remove himself from the case. Not to allow that. That's a little bit possible. Way. But like the victims were charged to follow him and they attempted real aggravated battery. I don't feel all the laws and focus is violating the hostile contact order. Everything that we want is someone with no hostile contact order to stay away.
All right. All right. All right. Thank you, Mr. Troll. State.
One moment, Your Honor. I mean, I believe at the outset of the report, it says that Amanda advised that she was in a hostile argument with her boyfriend over issues. That's when she drove him to the corner and he exited the vehicle. And then my understanding would be that he exited the vehicle, spent time at the gas station, and then they subsequently, she went back to the gas station and confronted him, and law enforcement responded. So my understanding is there was a hostile argument prior to that.
I think, Your Honor, that's the point of no hostile contact order, is that someone is in an argument with me, that they can remove themselves from the situation. There's nowhere in the police and they can touch her and violence against her. If someone gets charged with no hostile contact, it's their obligation to respond to those which has to come to the state as you did. Thank you, Your Honor. That's it.
All right. I do know anything else, Mr. Miller?
No, Your Honor.
To the state's position or argument, the police report, the charging affidavit does actually say that Amanda advised that she was in a hostile argument with her boyfriend. I don't see there being facts to support that Mr. Harris was the aggressor or that he was involved in a hostile argument with her. Also, as the narrative goes on, it does indicate that he took steps to leave the scene and, to the point of staying at a gas station for between 1 and 3 hours, which is Herculean at least. I'm going to find there's no probable cause for the charge of violation of the PTR conditions, which is no hostile contact. I'm going to ROR him on that charge. He apparently is out on bond currently on a concealed firearm case out of Osceola County. Based upon my not finding probable cause on the new law violation, I'm going to take no action on the outstanding case, which is... here's case number 2020 CF 3012. I'll take no action on that and find no probable cause and ROR him on the new charge. Does he already have the public defender on the other case?
I believe you do on the other case, Your Honor. But give you a point on this case too. I have everyone dog PD half here.
Okay. All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent him on that case. All right. Did you want to take these in any other order, or should I just start with Mr. Caraballo?
You have one person that's Spanish, Your Honor.
Madam Clerk, better do that first or last? The Spanish interpreter case?
We can do it last.
Okay. All right, that's a good idea. We'll do it last, and that way if we have some Orange County.
Your Honor, I believe Mr. Hornsby's here on an Osceola client.
Yes. What do you have, sir?
That's Kevin Brunner.
Is this an Orange County case or an Osceola? Osceola County case. All right, great.
And his wife, the victim's wife is here too, Judge.
All right. Would you give me your client's name again, please?
Pruener.
He pronounces it Prumer? Prumer?
I think so, Judge.
All right. All right. Mr. Hornsby, have you had a chance to talk with the state about this, or did we want to hear from the victim? What do we want to do?
Well, Mr. Miller was agreeable to $500 bond and no hostile contact. I was thinking of asking for an ROR under the facts, because it seems like in the police report she pretty clearly didn't want him arrested and didn't think it was a serious incident.
Okay.
So that's what I'd be asking for.
Is she here?
She is, Judge.
Can we have her approach and be sworn? Come on. And so what do we have to do to get her in the... Oh, she's all good. All right.
She's like Wonder Woman. She just yanks it open.
I guess so. And do we have Mr. Prumer here, or are we going to do this in his absence?
He's got Osceola.
Oh, Osceola, I'm sorry. It's going to be a long morning at the rate I'm going. All right. All right, so Mr. Prumer is there.
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
Great. Mr. Prumer, your lawyer, Mr. Hornsby, is here on your behalf. Will you go ahead and swear this young lady, please?
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you God?
Absolutely.
Please state your name for the record.
I'm sorry, I can't hear
You can't hear?
Can you hear her? We can't hear you.
Can you?
Yes.
Okay. Because of the sound in here, they're making it extraordinarily difficult to hear. So I've been advising everyone in your position, Ms. Prumer, to just shout at me. If you shout at me, I'll hear you and I won't be offended.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? pronounce your last name for me.
It's Prumer.
Prumer,
Yes.
all right. All right, Ms. Prumer, you've been identified as the alleged victim in this case. Your husband, Kevin Prumer, has been charged with domestic violence battery. Mr. Hornsby, did you want to inquire?
Yes, Ms. Prumer, do you want to be able to have contact with him, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
And are you in fear for him for any reason?
Not one iota.
Did you want him arrested at all?
Absolutely not.
Did you think that whatever the argument that you two got into over your business required him to be arrested?
Not at all.
Were you shocked that he was being arrested?
Oh, 150,000%. This is
Okay. And if a bond was set, would you be the one that would be paying for that bond?
Yes, I would.
Okay. I don't have any other questions, Judge.
Mr. Miller, any questions of Ms. Prumer?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So you understand, Ms. Prumer, that if I release your husband on no hostile contact is in your eyes, not in his eyes. So if he should be hostile toward you, it becomes your responsibility to call the police. The conditions of his release will be revoked, and he'll sit in jail till this case is resolved. You understand that that puts a burden on you.
Okay.
Should you feel he's hostile toward you to let someone know about it, right?
Okay, yes,
All right.
absolutely.
And Mr. Prumer, you understand that I don't have jurisdiction over your wife, only over you. And should you engage in a conversation with her that she feels is hostile, even if you don't feel it is, it's your responsibility to step away. Do you understand that? All right. All right, I'm going to find probable cause based upon the charging affidavit. I'm going to release Mr. Prumer on his own recognizance with special conditions of having no hostile contact with his wife, Jocelyn Prumer. I'm also going to require consume no alcohol or drugs, possess no firearms or weapons. And then Mr. Prumer has counsel.
Yes.
And I think that's it. Anything else, Mr. Hornsby?
No, that's it, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Prumer.
Thank you.
Okay.
What's that?
I'm Mr. Jason Wyatt, Your Honor, but he's Orange County.
Orange County, can you wait a little bit?
Yes, of course, Judge.
All right, excellent. All right. All right, I guess what we'll do next is Mr. Caraballo. Mr. Caraballo is charged with 2 counts of assault. I've reviewed the charging affidavit. I find probable cause. I'm going to set bond on each count of assault in the amount of $250 for a total of $500. Do we have the victim in this case down there that wants to be heard? Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to take no action on that case on which he's out on bond. I have previously set the amount of bond. I am going to require no contact, maintain separate residence, no alcohol, no drugs, no firearms, no weapons. Is he seeking appointment of the public defender?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent him. Thank you, sir. Next is Johnny Colon. Mr. Colon is charged with providing a false ID. He also was out on bond on a failure to appear on a warrant that looks like signed by Judge Wooten. I'm going to find probable cause on the false name or ID by arrestee. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $500. Is he seeking appointment of the public defender?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'll appoint the public defender's office to represent him on that charge. Now, I've got this warrant, but I have no other information other than that it's a felony warrant with no bond. It's a failure to appear. So unless someone wants to provide information for me that would give me a basis to set bond, I'll remain the bond at none and have Mr. Colon follow up with Judge, I thought it said Judge Wooten.
Your Honor, down in Knoxville, we don't have access to warrants, right? We don't have internet. So
Right.
I wouldn't be able to provide any further information. And so I would humbly ask this court, since the court doesn't have information on the warrant, to provide the law. Not the low amount, but to provide the law at one time.
Judge, you give me 1 second, I can tell you the Osceola case,
Okay.
what it is. Yeah, one moment.
All right, and after you do that, Mr. Miller, if you could weigh in on what you think, whether I should set bond and what that bond amount should be.
Yes, Your Honor, this is on case number 18 CF 2727.
2727, that's an old case. It might be a VOP. All I have is that it's a failure to appear.
Your Honor, looks like it was arrested for grand theft, but eventually charged as possession of controlled substance, possession of cannabis under 20, possession of drug paraphernalia. So no objection to the court reimposing a bond, I guess.
Okay.
It was a capias. There was a status hearing set back July 1st of this year with a failure to appear capias issued.
All right. Based upon those charges, which appear to be misdemeanors, I've previously given on the other case a bond in the amount of $500. I will set bond on the failure to appear.
The first charge is a F3, possession of controlled substance.
Okay. All right. I'll set bond in that case in the amount of $1,000, and on the second count, which is a misdemeanor possession of less than 20 grams of cannabis, I'll set bond in the amount of $100. So that's $1,100, and then the $500 for.
And there's a
total.
paraphernalia as well.
Okay, and then another $100 on the paraphernalia. So we got the three charges for the failure to appear, 1,000 and 2 100s, and the 500 on the false name. You have all that, Madam Clerk? I know you do. All right. All right, next we have Matthew Davis. Mr. Davis is charged with driving a license suspended or revoked with knowledge. He's also charged with possession of a controlled substance and possession of drug paraphernalia. I have a note here that Mr. Davis qualifies for pretrial release. Is that right? And is that on both of these, or all of these, I should say? The driving a license suspended and the possession of meth and drug paraphernalia? All right. I will find probable cause on all charges. I'll release them on pretrial release and appoint the Office of the Public Defender. Next, I have Amanda Freeman.
Your Honor, I give a probable cause challenge for this.
Okay. This is the companion, no pun intended, to Terry Harris, correct? All right. All right. You may proceed, Mr. Scholl.
Your Honor, if you take a look at it, it says aggravated assault with deadly weapon.
State.
He's going off, I believe, what she said. What he said was the car accelerated behind him. He turned around. The car actually went up onto the curb as he was walking on it, and he had to jump out of the way in order for him not to get hit.
And then I think, even according to his statement, after all that had occurred, then Amanda began to yell at him to get into the car. Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to find there is probable cause based upon the statement of the alleged victim as recited back to the court by the state, that he heard the car accelerate, he turned around and saw the defendant driving the vehicle coming towards him, and that the vehicle left the roadway and drove onto the curb. He had to jump backwards out of the way in order not to get hit. So I'm going to find that is sufficient probable cause for the charge of ag assault with a deadly weapon, that being a motor vehicle. Did you want to be heard, Mr. Scholl, on any conditions of release?
No, I was asking
State, do you have a position on PTR or bond?
No, Your Honor, but I believe they said he doesn't qualify for PTR.
Yeah, I think she doesn't qualify for pretrial release. What I'll do is I'll set bond in the amount of $1,000. I'll require her to have no contact with the victim in this case, Terry Harris. No alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, no firearms. Appoint the Office of the Public Defender. Mr. Scholl, do you represent both of them? Are you going to have to conflict out? Is that for another day?
Yes, Your Honor. And the public defender's office will conflict out Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Scholl. Next, I have Kevin Gomez. Mr. Gomez is charged with simple battery, domestic violence in nature. I've reviewed the charging affidavit. I find probable cause. Set bond in the amount of $500. I'm going to require that the defendant not have any contact with the victim. And no return, no alcohol, no drugs, no firearms, no weapons. Next, I have Anthony Hawes. Oh, I'll appoint the public defender if he is seeking appointment of the public defender's office. $1,000. Next, I have Anthony Hawes. Mr. Hawes is charged with battery. I've reviewed the charging affidavit. I find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $500. No contact, no return. I also find apparently that Mr. Hawes is currently out on bond on the charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon in 20 CF 2564. I think that's currently set in front of Judge Karsten. I'm going to revoke his conditions of release on that case, and he can take that up with Judge Karsten regarding release on that charge. I'll appoint the public defender to represent him on the new charge for which I've set bond. Next, I have Adrian Jackson. Mr. Jackson is charged with petty theft and actual or constructive possession of synthetic cannabis. I've reviewed the charging affidavit. I find probable cause. I'm going to set bond on the petty theft in the amount of $250. I'll stay that amount. I'll set bond on the synthetic cannabis in the amount of $500. He's also got another charge of controlled substance without a prescription. I'll stay bond in the amount of $1,000. I'll appoint. Now, is that a warrant? All right. I thought that was a warrant. All right. I will, based upon the warrant, find probable cause and stay the bond at the amount contained in the original warrant. Appoint the public defender on the new case. Next, I have Yael Lopez. Mr. Lopez was apparently picked up on a warrant. Yes, sir.
Because of COVID, he's in the hallway. He's remained in glass, Your Honor.
All right, we'll revisit Mr. Lopez. Ivan Molina. All right, Mr. Molina is charged with battery and kidnapping or false imprisonment. It's either kidnapping or it's false imprisonment. False imprisonment. All right. I've reviewed the charging affidavit. I find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $500 on count 1 and $500 on count 2. I'm going to require no contact with the alleged victim, no return, no alcohol, no drugs, no firearms, no weapons. I'll appoint the public defender to represent Mr. Molina. Brian Murphy. Mr. Murphy is charged with battery. I've reviewed the charging affidavit. I find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $500. No contact, no return, no alcohol, no drugs, no firearms, no weapons. Appoint the public defender should he request it. Next is Deanna Napolitano. Ms. Napolitano is charged with battery. I've reviewed the charging affidavit. I find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $500. I'm going to order no contact, maintain separate residence, no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, no firearms. Appoint the public defender.
Your Honor, did she have a one-time return, Your Honor, with the sheriff?
She may have one-time return. If I have not, I don't think I've mentioned it yet. On these non-returns, they may all return one time with law enforcement to collect personal effects. Did I just totally jam you up, Madam Clerk? Okay. All right, Uriel Perez Perea.
Bonded, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
Bonded out, Your Honor.
All righty. Isabel Sablin. Ms. Sablin is charged with battery. I've reviewed the charging affidavit. I find probable cause. I'm set bond in the amount of $500. No contact, no return, except once for with law enforcement. No alcohol, no drugs, no firearms, no weapons. Appoint the public defender should she seek it. Luis Serrano Aponte.
Your Honor, he's the individual that will lead the Spanish interpreter.
Okay, let's do him last. We'll do Mr. Lopez second to the last. We'll do Mr. Serrano Aponte last, which leaves us with Glenn Hemingway.
The defender's office waives the appearance due to the COVID issue. It is an out-of-county warrant. So this is what tries to waive the appearance.
All right. I have no facts other than to indicate that it is ag battery. Bond is set at none. I'm going to...
If we could be appointed, Your Honor, even though it's not a warrants case,
All right.
the public defender's office is waived.
All right. I'll appoint the office of the public defender to represent Mr. Hemingway. Is there an argument for bond, or are we just going to have the judge that issued the bond address release conditions on a later time?
Well, if I may ask, I don't have it in front of me, Your Honor. Does the warrant states that there is no bond, or does the warrant state that the conditional appearance judgment is issued?
I do not have that information. I have a face sheet. I actually have a charging affidavit that just says there was an active warrant out of Orange County. Failure to appear. Mr. Miller, can you help me out at all on this?
Yeah, Judge, is this for case number 20 CF 12093 out of Orange County?
120930, it looks like.
Yeah, that's actually a petty theft 2 prior third-degree felony charge.
Okay.
I believe you said ag bat.
I'm sorry, I thought Mr. Scholl said ag bat.
No, so it's a petty theft, Your Honor. So I'll leave it in the court's discretion
All right.
if you want to issue a bond, given the failure to appear, maybe enhance the amount a little bit or something.
All right. Based upon his failure to appear, I'll set bond in the amount of $1,500. And I've appointed the Office of Public Defender to represent Mr. Hemingway. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
You're welcome, Judge.
Okay, so that leaves us with Mr. Lopez. Mr. or Ms. Lopez? Mr. Lopez.
Mr. Lopez is coming in.
All right. Since I can't see you down there, I hope I haven't been going too fast. All right. I'm sorry? I did not hear you.
No, that's fine.
All right, so Mr. Lopez is charged with
I apologize for interrupting. He also needs a Spanish interpreter. We just found out since he brought in here. So
Okay.
The last two people need a Spanish interpreter.
All right, well, let's do Mr. Lopez. Well, let's get the Spanish interpreter involved. Okay. I have requested the interpreter, so let's just be patient for a minute.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is Laura Bretaña, Spanish interpreter. The interpreter has not been sworn.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you swear the interpreter?
Try to translate from English to Spanish and Spanish to English testimonies you will receive today.
Yes, I do. To the best of my abilities, Laura Bretaña, Spanish interpreter.
All right, you can swear Mr. Lopez, and we also have the victim in this case. Is that correct? Why don't we have that person? All right. This is on a warrant, and I have no information other than the 4 charges and the bonds set in the warrant.
Your Honor, that's a situation the public defender's office is also like to speak about.
Okay. All right. So I guess the order we should do this, Mr. Miller, can you help us out on the warrant?
Is it Osceola?
Yes.
Give me just a moment, Judge.
And while Mr. Miller does that, Madam Clerk, would you go ahead and swear both Mr. Lopez and this young lady?
You need a Spanish interpreter?
Nope. Sorry, my
Raise your right
mistake.
hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Swear.
Could you state your name for the record?
Joely Matos.
All right. Because of the sound in this room and the fact that you're behind glass and wearing a mask, and I've got a vent here that's blowing sound at me, I can barely hear anything. So I need you to just shout at me. You're not going to hurt my feelings, but I may be able to hear you if you speak very loudly in that room. Nobody else is in the room with you, okay? Tell me your name again, please.
Joely Matos.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Lopez, can you Spanish. Raise your right hand.
Señor López, por favor, levante la mano derecha.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. There's something turned on and I cannot hear Madam Clerk.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Juro y promete decir la verdad, solamente la verdad y nada más que la verdad. Lo juro ante Dios.
Lo juro.
I swear.
Mr. Miller, just tell me when you're ready.
Judge, I can't.
Licenciado, me deja saber cuando esté listo.
Because it's a warrant, I can't see this one. It's not in our system yet. But
Okay.
I do see a separate 2020 CF case that our office did receive back in November.
No.
Domestic violence related charge.
No puedo verlo ahora en el sistema, pero sí veo una acusación previa de noviembre con 20 CF relacionada a violencia doméstica.
Is that the 20 CF 3448 in front of Judge Young?
Yes, Your Honor, that's that case.
¿Es acaso esa la 20 CF 3448 frente al juez Young? Sí, su señoría.
All right, the only information I have is that it is a different victim, and it appears to be a domestic violence case. That's all I know.
Correct.
La única información que tengo es que aparenta ser una víctima diferencia y que es un caso de violencia doméstica. Correcto.
Unless this is the same case.
No, Your Honor, it's a different victim than the young lady who just
Oh,
spoke
that's
here in
right.
court.
We just discussed that, didn't we?
No, su señoría, es una víctima diferente a la joven que se encuentra aquí en el tribunal. Ah, sí, ya habíamos hablado de esto.
All right, so we have the witness here. Mr. Scholl, did you want to inquire of the witness on the new case?
Muy bien, tenemos a la víctima aquí. Licenciado, ¿desea usted hacer algunas preguntas a la víctima?
No, you have no questions on that. I do want to speak about this warrant situation with regards to bonds. Because I don't have a warrant either, and it appears the court doesn't have a warrant. And so, when you have that moment, then we can speak about that, Your Honor.
No, su señoría, no tengo preguntas que hacerle. Sobre lo que sí me gustaría hablar es el asunto de que no tenemos la orden de arresto aquí. Cuando llegue su momento me gustaría hablar al respecto.
Mr. Miller, does Mr. Lopez appear to be out on bond on the case before Judge Young?
¿Se encuentra el señor López libre bajo fianza en cuanto a la acusación frente al juez Young?
And it appears the arrest on the other case was 11/21, and I don't see a no info or non-filing, the 33rd day type response. So I would submit it was either PTR, ROR, or bonded. Okay.
Veo aquí que la acusación previa fue del 11/21, pero no tengo información adicional. Él se encuentra libre bajo fianza.
All right, so Mr. Scholl, what would you like me to do with these two cases?
Licenciado, ¿qué desea hacer usted en cuanto a estas dos acusaciones?
Well, on the first case with the warrant, Your Honor, as you're aware that everyone's entitled to a bond, so the amount of zero, because we don't have the warrant, I would ask that we treat it as subsidiary at $100 each, one set of zero, and then we can stay the remaining two amounts, Your Honor.
Su señoría, como él tiene derecho a que se le fije una fianza y ahora mismo el que no se le haya fijado fianza es lo mismo que prisión preventiva, la segunda acusación debería considerarse como una auxiliar y fijarse una fianza de $100 en cada uno de los cargos de la acusación original.
State, did you want to inquire of the victim in this case, or did you want to respond to the attorney's request that I set a minimal bond on the two no bond cases?
Fiscalía, ¿desea usted hacerle preguntas a la supuesta víctima o acaso prefiere contestarle al licenciado en relación a su pronunciamiento y la solicitud que me ha hecho de que se fije una fianza mínima en ambas acusaciones que actualmente no tienen fianza establecida?
No, Your Honor, just essentially is if released on bond, would she be afraid? Would she want contact?
No, su señoría, esencialmente que si él queda libre bajo fianza, si ella le temería y si desea tener contacto con él.
All right, ma'am, you have traveled here today to address the court, and I want to give you that opportunity.
Señora, usted ha venido aquí hoy para dirigirse a este tribunal y yo quiero darle a usted esa oportunidad.
You appear to be identified as the alleged victim in this case.
Usted se ha identificado como la supuesta víctima en este caso.
For which Mr. Lopez is being charged with several felonies.
Y por lo cual se le ha acusado al señor López de varios delitos.
The purpose for this morning's proceedings is for the court to make a determination as to whether there's probable cause that the charges against the defendant have occurred, and also to determine conditions of release, if any.
El propósito de la audiencia de esta mañana es determinar si hay indicios de criminalidad ante esta acusación, si en efecto ha ocurrido algo relacionado a lo que se le acusa y determinar si se le pondrá en algún tipo de libertad o no.
Do you want to be heard on the court's decision or determination as to whether to release Mr. Lopez and under what conditions?
¿Desea usted expresarse, señora, en relación a la decisión que tomará este tribunal sobre si liberar al señor López y bajo cuáles condiciones?
Yes.
Sí,
All right, you may proceed.
puede proceder.
I would like to speak this in Spanish.
I can't hear you.
Can I speak this in Spanish?
¿Podría, por favor, decir en esto en español? Sí.
Okay. Yo no lo quiero preso ni arrestado. Yo solamente quiero que no esté cerca de mí, que no esté cerca de mi familia y que no vuelva a tener ningún contacto con él.
I don't want him to be in jail. I don't want him to be arrested. I only want him to stay away from me, to stay away from my family, and I don't want to have any contact with him.
All right. Mr. Scholl, any questions of the alleged victim?
No, Your Honor.
Licenciado, ¿tiene alguna pregunta para la supuesta víctima? No, su señoría.
State?
No, Your Honor.
Fiscalía, no, su señoría.
All right. On the new law, on the outstanding warrant, which contains 4 charges, all varying degrees of felony, I'm going to stay the bonds on the kidnapping and false imprisonment at $10,000 each.
En cuanto a la orden de arresto que incluye 4 acusaciones de delito, se mantendrá tal cual la fianza en relación en cuanto al secuestro y privación de libertad, $10,000 cada uno.
I'm going to set bond on the domestic violence battery by strangulation at $1,000.
En cuanto a la acusación de violencia, de agresión física por violencia doméstica, estrangulamiento, $1,000 de fianza.
And on the aggravated battery with a deadly weapon at $1,000.
Y $1,000 en cuanto a la acusación de agresión física agravada con arma letal, $1,000.
Based upon the victim's request and the original warrant, I'm going to order that Mr. Lopez have no contact directly or indirectly with the alleged victim in this case.
Y debido a la solicitud de la víctima y en cuanto a lo que consta en la orden original, se le prohíbe todo tipo de contacto con la víctima, ya bien sea directo o indirecto.
If released, he is to possess no firearms or weapons and to consume no alcohol or drugs.
Si es puesto en libertad, se le prohíbe la tenencia de armas de fuego y todo tipo de armas, y se le prohíbe también el consumo de bebidas alcohólicas y drogas.
I'll appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent him on that charge if he chooses.
Si él así lo desea, se designa un abogado de oficio para que les represente ante esa acusación.
It has been established that Mr. Lopez was also out on bond on case number 20 CF 3448.
Se ha establecido que el señor López se encuentra libre bajo fianza en cuanto a la acusación 20 CF 3448.
Which was also a domestic violence charge.
También es una acusación de violencia doméstica.
I'm going to revoke his conditions of release and set no bond.
Se impone prisión preventiva.
Your Honor, if I may ask a question, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Su señoría, si me permite hacer una pregunta, sí.
I just want to, because of the judge's name, is there a potential that this is a juvenile case? Because he just turned, my math is right, he just turned 18, just like a month ago.
Su señoría, tengo una pregunta. Debido al juez que se le ha designado a tal acusación, ¿es posible que sea un caso de menores? Porque él acaba de cumplir 18 años, si no me equivoco.
I think if it's a juvenile case, it would have a different case number. This is a CF case number.
No creo, porque si fuese un caso de menores, tendríamos un número diferente. Esta acusación lleva un número con CF.
I was thinking the same thing, Your Honor. It's just the judge's name. I think it's Judge Young. I hadn't heard that judge's name. So
Go ahead,
Estaba
Madam Chair.
pensando lo mismo. Lo que me causó duda es el nombre del juez, el juez Young. Yo no había escuchado ese nombre aquí en Osceola.
With the new year, there have been a change of rotation of judges that may explain that.
Bueno, nuevo año ha habido un cambio en la rotación de los jueces y esa puede ser la explicación.
I don't have the administrative order assigning judges in front of me, but that might be the answer to your question.
No tengo aquí conmigo la orden administrativa con las determinaciones de los jueces en las diferentes divisiones, pero esa puede ser la contestación a su pregunta.
Thank you for that explanation, Your Honor.
Gracias por la explicación, su señoría.
You are welcome. All right, is there anything else on Mr. Lopez?
¿Algo más en relación a la acusación del señor López? No.
We're done, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much for appearing today, ma'am.
Gracias por su comparecencia, señora.
All right, next I have Luis Serrano Aponte. Mr. Aponte is charged with operating a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license.
Al señor Aponte se le acusa de conducir un vehículo de motor sin licencia válida.
It appears as at the time of this offense he was out on bond on the same charge in front of Judge Yansevich.
Parece ser que al momento de la detención él se encontraba libre bajo fianza por la misma acusación que era atendida por la jueza Yanchevitz.
I have reviewed the charging affidavit and find probable cause.
He revisado el documento acusatorio y determino que hay indicios de criminalidad.
I'm going to stay the bond on the new law violation at $500.
Se mantiene la fianza en cuanto a al nuevo incumplimiento de ley en $500.
And I'll take no action on the other case on which he is out on bond.
Y no se tomará acción en cuanto a la otra acusación ante la cual él se encuentra libre bajo fianza.
All right, Mr. Scholl, any other cases that I've overlooked in Osceola County?
We're good, Your Honor. That's all the cases, Your Honor.
All right, state anything else from Osceola County? All right.
No, Your Honor.
All right, do we have, and I know I have a couple private counsel, I want to see if I can get my interpreter cases done and get that interpreter on her way. Do we have any Orange County interpreter cases?
Your Honor, are we done in Osceola, Your Honor?
We are, and actually, Madam Interpreter, if I disconnect with Osceola County, will I lose you? Do I need to call you back?
The rest, I don't know. We can see what happens.
Okay. If I lose you, we'll call you back.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good day.